Get it. I'm excited because it's crazy. I was going through my stories and my memories, and a year ago, it actually popped up, and I was doing a training just about a year ago talking about creating momentum. And I think that it was my best training, one of my favorite trainings that I had did the entire year last year. And I think it's one of the most impactful and one of the most helpful to take you from where you are to get to that next level. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking today about creating momentum. We're going to talk about how there are certain people within Life by Design. There are certain people within the company where everywhere they go, they build a team. Everywhere they go, boom, momentum is created, right? You see certain people, they'll fly to a certain city, they'll go to a certain state, they'll go to a different country, and then 30, 60, 90 days later, all of a sudden, boom, there's a new team, a dozen people, 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, and there's a reason why. And that reason is because they understand what momentum is. They understand the laws behind momentum, and they understand how to create it. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So if you guys are ready, drop a 777 in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and get started with it. I'm going to need you guys to, pay a lot of attention and definitely take notes, but also just be super, super engaged with me. And let's run it. So first and foremost, guys, my definition of momentum is when you have a lot of new and excited people joining your business, following the system, and getting results. Drop a 777 in the chat if you would like to have a lot of new and excited people joining your business, following the system, and getting results every single day. Because when you do that, that's how you know you have momentum. And what I'm going to do is talk about some of the laws behind momentum first and foremost. So first of all, momentum is difficult to start, but it's easy to steer. And I was recently rereading a book called The Compound Effect, which changed my mindset back in 2015, 2016, when I first picked up that book. And it gives an analogy of a train. And he said that a train, I want you to picture a train stationed, not moving, a stationary train. And Darren Hardy, the publisher of Success Magazine at the time, the creator of the book, he said that it doesn't take much to stop that train stationary from moving. It doesn't take much to, hold that train from moving. He says a 1-inch block, a 1-inch wood block would literally stop that train from moving forward. Now, he said that same train moving at 55 miles per hour can go through, I think he said, a 5-foot steel reinforced concrete wall and keep going afterwards, right? And so sometimes we're trying to get this business going, and it just seems like you're just, not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden, boom, you hit momentum and you start skipping ranks. I think in this business, we think in terms of level by level. I'm going to get my 2 units free and then hit P150 and then hit P600, and that's fine. But when you catch momentum, oftentimes you see people skip levels. And so another example I could give you is a plane. When a plane is taking off, the pilot has to throttle back 100% to get the plane off the ground. Now, once that plane is off the ground, you could actually throttle back to 60% and then fly fine through the air. And in business, it works the same. If you are launching your business, it's one thing if you want to maintain your business. Maybe you're happy with the results that you got in 2022 and you're just trying to keep, that's one thing. But if you want to take it from this level to another level, if you want to double your income, if you want to take it to a whole nother level, then you're going to have to throttle 100%. You're going to have to go all in. And so another thing to understand is that I heard this from John Maxwell. John Maxwell, the #1 leadership speaker and author in the world, he said that momentum is the great exaggerator. And he used this example. He said that momentum will make you look better than you are. And he said that when you're in momentum, everything that you touch turns to gold. Every time you talk to somebody, they're interested in the business. Every time you show someone the plan, they join. Every time you take a trade, it hits take profit. And it's like everything that you touch turns to gold. And sometimes it makes you look better than you are. Sometimes you'll hit a rank, you'll hit a specific level. And then maybe you got a little bit lucky and maybe you didn't deserve to hit that level. And then you come back down to reality. And that's fine. because sometimes momentum makes you look better than you are. However, sometimes momentum can actually make you look worse than you are. When things are going backwards, when you have negative momentum, when you have momentum working against you, maybe you're at a lower level than you really are when it comes to the actual value that you have. And that's fine. But you got to understand that it can exaggerate your results a little bit. Either way. Now, here's the key. Excitement creates momentum. It's very, very easy to be excited when everything's going right. But I believe it's Winston Churchill. He has a quote. It's like something along the lines of success is going from failure to failure to failure without lack of enthusiasm. How is your excitement when things aren't going in a positive direction? If you can maintain that level of excitement, no matter what, like it doesn't matter what the results are, then it's just a matter of time before you create momentum within your organization. Now, momentum is the leader's responsibility. I always tell people that if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And something that I've said many, many times is I like to use this example. I like to say that you got to be the spark that lights the fire within your organization. Most people put responsibility on everybody else. They're waiting for their upline, their sideline. They're waiting for somebody else to create their team. They're waiting for their team to create momentum. Sometimes your team is waiting on you. And so momentum is the leader's responsibility. So you got to take 100% for the momentum or lack of momentum that you have right now, because when you take responsibility, then you can actually change it. Working everywhere equals momentum nowhere. If you're hypothetically, let's say you're a chairman 10, you think that a chairman 10 is equally dividing up his time or her time with 500 people and working with every single person individually? No. There's something called the 80-20 rule, aka the Pareto principle, where you want to spend 80% of your time with the 20% of people that are super, super serious. 20% of people produce 80% of the results. If I'm coaching a basketball team, guess what? There's 5 starters, right? So I'm going to work mainly with the starters, right? Not that I'm not going to work with everybody else, but the way that I think about it is this. The people who are very, 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 very serious, I'm spending the majority of my time with, and everybody else, I'm doing things in group. This right here is a group training, right? And so I have people plugged into the system. If they need anything from me, I'm here 24/7. I'm here to help out. However, on a daily basis, the people that I'm in the trenches with every single day, I'm focusing 80% of my time with the super serious people. Momentum happens when everybody is moving in synchronicity. Now, I will say this. I think that it's very important that people are using the same language. Now, you might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, what happens is if I think the word launch is you getting someone started and going through the wise goals list invite with somebody, but you think the launch is setting up somebody's services and getting them set up for success with trading, there's a lack of communication, there's a breakdown, right? And you could see this in the game Telephone. And in the game Telephone, what happens? You sit around the table and you whisper something into someone's ear and they go around and they try to say the same thing. And by the time it gets around to the same person, guess what? It's a completely different message. And so in order to create momentum, everybody has to be moving in synchronicity. Everybody has to be saying a lot of the same things, doing a lot of the same things. Yes, you could be yourself, of course, be yourself. But at the same time, there has to be some type of standard. There has to be some type of structure, because if there is no systems, if there is no structure, if there is no the same training, the whole point of a system is having a plug and play turnkey system where you can plug someone in and you can get the same result every single time. There's a reason why McDonald's, the way that it's set up, is the same at every single McDonald's, right? They have the register in a certain place. They make the burgers a certain way. They have 2 pickles on it's exactly the same. There's systems for everything. And that is what happens is momentum is created when everybody is moving in synchronicity. If you're training something one way and then your team is training something the other way, then your team ends up confused. And guess what? When people are confused, then nothing happens at all. Managers solve problems. Leaders focus on creating momentum. You should spend 1% of your time on the problem and 99% of your time on creating the solution. If you spend so much time on the problem, you end up creating more problems. The solution, 9 times out of 10, is just creating a new wave of momentum within your group. Now that we talked about what creates momentum, I think that it's very important to talk about what kills momentum, what destroys momentum. Well, obviously a lack of action, right? If you're not doing anything, you can't expect a result. That's pretty common sense. I'm not going to go into that, but I would say this. I will say that drama kills momentum. I've seen teams grow from 0 to hundreds to bigger than that and then collapse very, very quickly just because people weren't getting along, just because, egos were in the way. People want to do certain things in a certain way and it just didn't work out. And then these people don't like each other. And then all of a sudden, boom, that team collapses. And so you got to get good at just working with people, collaboration, working with other people. All of us on this call can accomplish a lot more than us trying to do our own thing. And we need to think in terms of win-win. When one person wins, everybody wins. When you see other people's organization wins, a rising tide floats all boats, right? That you can leverage that excitement, that hype, and that can grow your team. Same thing. When your team is growing very, very quick, guess what? Other people can leverage that as well. And we can all work together and all be very successful. And so that is that. Now understand this. We learned this in science and we learned this in math when we were kids. And this is the equation for momentum. This is arguably the most simple, but most important slide. This is how you create momentum. This is the answer to the question. How do you create momentum? P equals M times V. Momentum equals mass times velocity. So what did we say momentum was earlier? Having a lot of new and excited people, joining the business, following the system, and getting results. Equals mass, the amount of people that we expose to the business, times velocity, the speed in which we do it. So very common sense. But if we show a lot of people the business in a short period of time, that is how you create momentum. We're going to go more in detail in this, but this is the basic of all basics. If you show a lot of people the business in a short period of time, obviously it's just a numbers game. Talk to some people, make some money. Talk to no people, make no money. Talk to a lot of people. Guess what? You're going to make a lot of money. Now, there's also personal momentum and group momentum. So you got to balance personal recruiting and taprooting. If you're new, then you need to focus 100% of your time on personal recruiting for the most part. If you have no momentum, if nothing's happening within your organization, you need to spend most of your time personal recruiting. Now, personal momentum precedes group momentum. So what I like to do is I'll bring in a group of people. I'll bring in the wave, the next wave of 2023. I'll bring in 5, 10, 20, a dozen personals, right? And what I'll do is out of that group, there's going to be a handful that are very, very serious. And then I'll work with those guys and then I'll help them smash ranks. I'll help them get results. I'll help them get to the next level. And then once they are able to do everything on their own, guess what? Then I bring in another wave and I do it again and do it again. So personal momentum precedes group momentum. So if you don't have too much going on within your organization, if things are slow, great. The speed of the leader, you, is the speed of the team. That's what you should be focusing on. If you have 2, 3, 4 hours to build the business, then you should be focusing on prospecting. You should be focusing on inviting. You should be focused on attraction marketing. You should be focused on personal momentum. However, the big money in this industry is actually made in taprooting. The big money in this industry is made in meeting people through people. You sign up somebody who signs up somebody who signs up somebody who brings in, boom, that next chairman 10. Because guess what? Every time you sign one person up, they know 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 people that you don't know. And guess what? You do it again and then again and then again. And as you're going through the deck of cards, guess what? You're going to find the aces, the potential chairman within your organization. And I look at a lot of the top income earners in the industry, and they're very good at recruiting, but they may not be the greatest, but they're amazing at taprooting. And so some people are very good at personally recruiting, but you can't recruit your way to chairman 10 because that's 500 people, first of all. Second of all, even if you were somehow able to recruit 500 personally, which that's probably not going to, it's not impossible, but it's probably not going to happen, right? Like within a short period of time, then On top of that, now you're personally responsible for those 500 people because you signed them all up, right? And so it just does not work. However, if you're so focused on taprooting, guess what? You end up, your team's looking at you. And if you're not leading by example, if you're not doing the things that you're telling them to do, then obviously they're not going to do it. So it's finding this balance. If you're in massive momentum, if you have so much time that you don't even have time to launch the newest person, then I'd be spending 80% of my time taprooting, right? So you got to find the balance. Now there's 3 stages of momentum. I'm going to count how many times I could say momentum in one training. It's probably like 100. All right, 3 stages of momentum. So there's crawling, walking, running. So crawling is you are in phase 1. Phase 1 is what I just said. You're focusing on personal recruiting. You're focusing on inviting. You're focusing on prospecting. You're focusing on attraction marketing. You're focusing on bringing in a new wave of people yourself. Why? Because personal momentum precedes group momentum. It comes first. And typically, I like to usually in the crawling phase, you're usually doing one-on-ones. And the reason why is because the one-on-one is the easiest exposure to set up. So when I was brand new into IM Academy in 2018, the way that I launched my business, the way that I did it was I made a huge list of people. And I started out with my hot market. I had a list of, I don't know, hundreds of people. I don't know how many, but I started out with my hot market, my top 20, the people that trusted me, liked me, respected, just people that I had a really, really good relationship with. Because obviously, number one, that's a lot easier. It's a lot faster that way. And also, if you're going to go out there and have a ton of success, obviously you want to talk to the people that you're closest with first. And so what I did is I called all 20 of those people. And I said, hey, I'm working on something really, really big, and I'm super excited to get your opinion on it. Let's grab lunch. Let's grab coffee. That was my perfect invite. I think that people really, 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 overcomplicate things. Like, yo, I'm working on something. It's not what you say, it's how you're saying it. And obviously this is for your warm market. This is for people that you know, right? But you get the point. Like it's not, you don't have to say anything crazy, right? Now from there, guess what? Out of all 20 of those people, don't answer this question if you know the answer, because I've said it before. But if you don't know, take a guess. Out of 20 people, how many people do you think joined out of those first 20 that I contacted? Drop it in the chat box. I'm just curious. 2 to 4, 2, 0, 20. You're beast. Andre is correct. All 20 said yes. All 20 of them joined. Hard to believe, I know, but how did I do that? That's a great question. You know what I did? What I did was I was, number one, super, super, super excited. What did I say earlier? Excitement creates momentum. But number 2 is I casted a huge vision. I was talking about stuff like, yo, in Washington, there's 7 million people and there's not a single chairman in the city. Still to this day, there's no chairman outside of Leanne and myself, right? And I said, yo, listen, do you understand that the people who get started now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, when this thing blows up, are going to be massively, massively successful if they put in the work? And I just casted such a big vision, such a clear vision, that I got them to see themselves within that vision having success as well. It was impossible to say no. And so what I did was, on top of that, people need to have a vision to shoot for, but I think that FOMO is big as well, fear of missing out, because sometimes people are more scared to lose something than they are excited to gain something. So you can say, and for the people who miss out, they're going to miss out on this, on this wave, right? And so that is what I did. And then, I eventually, once I had this foundation of people, I moved from this crawling phase to this walking phase. So if you're in a stage right now where there's not that much momentum, you could sit down for an hour in this crawling phase and you can reach out to 10, 20, 30, maybe even 50 people in an hour and just set up a bunch of one-on-ones and pack out your calendar. Now, once you have a foundation, once you have a handful of people, a dozen people, or however many, in this case for me, 20, you could start and move to this walking phase. Now, it's a lot smarter to do things in group. And I mean, let me ask you guys, what makes more sense? Me doing 10 one-on-one presentations, which takes 10 hours. And let's say I'm signing up 2 or 3 out of 10 on average. That's an average for people. Or me doing one home event and showing 10 people all at once and signing up 2 to 3 out of 10. I just saved 9 hours, right? I compressed time. And so, but the whole problem is without social proof, without the whole point of an event is there's excitement, there's social proof, there's a bunch of people in the room, and there wasn't that when I was here. So I had to start out in that crawling phase, but eventually, so when you're crawling, you get exposures however you get exposures. You could do this by one-on-ones. You could do this by inviting people to events. Maybe you have weekly events going on in your city. Maybe it's sending people on the op calls. Maybe it's sending a recording. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're creating exposures. In Brian Carruthers' book, Building an Empire, he says exposures is everything, right? So it doesn't matter how you create it. You just got to get creative. Let me tell you this. When I had no momentum in my business, you know what I would do? I would launch people as if they were already in. I would take somebody that was super excited about the services, but they were also really excited about the business model as well. And maybe they said, oh, I don't have the time, or maybe they said, I don't have the money, or whatever the case was. Yeah. Say, I don't have the money. I would sit down with them and I would say, hey, awesome. Let's get you a head start. I know that you want to smash these levels, smash these ranks. Perfect. Well, let's get you a head start while you're waiting for the money. And let's make a list. Why? Goals, list, invite. And I would launch them as if they're already in. And I would create momentum out of thin air. So you got to get creative and you got to create exposures, because the amount of people that are joining is going to be a direct reflection of how many exposures that are going on in your business. If your calendar is empty, then your business is going nowhere fast, right? Crawling. And then eventually you're going to be walking. Now, walking is when you're doing things in group. You're going to get to the point where you have so many new and excited people joining your business, following the system and getting results, that you're not going to be able to do everything on your own. And you're not going to be able to do everything individually, I should say. And this is a lot better. I would much rather do a home event or a private opportunity call for somebody, because like I said, I could show 5, 10, 20 people all at once rather than doing 5, 10, 20 one-on-ones, which would take 5, 10, 20 hours. And so when someone's brand new in my business, when they are ready to launch their business, what I like to do personally is I'll say, hey, I'll ask them that question. I'll say, hey, would you rather do 10 one-on-one presentations, which would take 10 hours? Or what we could do is set up your own private home event for the launch of your business, where we could, invite your close friends, close family, people that you want to see have success with you, and show them all at once. And obviously they're going to say, show them all at once. And so what I'll do with that new person is I'll launch them, right? Why? Goals, list, invite. Most importantly is the invite, because that's the hardest part for the brand new person. And then from there, I'll have them invite everybody that they know to their own home event in person. And then obviously everybody knows people in person, but everybody knows people out of the city, out of the state, out of the country. So I'll have them do their own private opportunity call as well. So brand new person joins. Once they're ready to build the business, whenever that is, maybe it's right away, maybe it's a little bit down the road. Once they get results using the services, when they're ready, I'll have them set up their own home event and their own private opportunity call. And now, guess what? I'm compressing time. Rather than doing one-on-ones every day, I'm doing home events / private opportunity calls on a daily basis. And you're going to build your business a lot bigger, a lot faster, and you're working hard, but you're also now working more smart. What's annoying? What's annoying to me is when people are thinking, I'm going to just work super, super smart, but I'm not going to work hard. Like, you're going to lose then. You're going to lose to somebody that's working super hard and super smart. And it's honestly not a reality when you're getting your business launched off the ground. Like I said, you got to go 100%. All right. So crawling, walking, and then running. Now, running is when you get to the point where you are dividing and conquering, where you have multiple meetings, multiple home events and private opportunity calls and one-on-ones, and just bigger group meetings happening daily within your organization. And I think it's a good goal to develop one, if not two, at least 1 to 2 new presenters every single month within your business, teaching one new person to present, to be able to show the plan in your business. Now imagine you, and obviously not about just what you could do, but it's about what you could duplicate. You, and you have a bunch of mini yous who could do what you do, who can, show the plan, who can, show the presentation, and you guys are literally dividing and conquering in different cities, states, eventually countries. Now, you start out crawling, you go to walking, and you go to running. So ask yourself this question: where is it that I'm at right now? And then boom, you got to focus on that specific, wherever it is that you are on the scale. Now, the key to big momentum is home events and private opportunity calls. And the reason why is because I already explained the concept to you of compressing time. But the thing is nothing changes in your business until something changes daily. Nothing changes in your life unless something changes daily. When people say, hey, I'm going to do one meeting a week, one event a week, in my head, that's like, oh, I'm going to work out once a week. That's not going to do anything. Like you're literally, it's just nothing changes unless you're changing things daily. And so, I was on Drake's call yesterday, and on Drake's call, what did he say? He said, show the plan 4 or 5 nights a week, right? So that's the goal, is making a commitment to show the plan a handful of times a week. Eventually, obviously in group. In the beginning, if you're crawling, that's fine, but eventually, obviously, you want to be doing it in group. So what I would do is, you want to get your calendar and you want to plan out your success. One of my favorite quotes is, success is intentional, it's not accidental. You don't just drift to the top of the mountain. So you get your schedule and it's blank, and then you plan everything out. And yes, you plan business, but you plan everything else. Obviously, maybe on Sunday, maybe you're, working 4, 5, 6 days a week, but Sundays you have off, right? And you're spending time with church, you have family things, you have things going on. I understand that, right? And then maybe you also have weekly meetings. If you don't have weekly meetings in your market, then you got to be that person, like I was that person, to make the decision to eventually throw them once you build a foundation. So as an example, what I like to duplicate in different marketplaces is weekly meetings on Tuesdays. So every Tuesday, where people can see the presentation, because how does church work? It's same time, same place every week. And that's how they grow it. Because if they change the time and if they change the place, people wouldn't show up, right? And then Thursday, maybe a weekly trade night, or whatever product that you're using the most. Well, it might be e-commerce, it might be TLX, whatever. You got to get creative with it, but something to use the products every single week. So Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday. And how do you know if your business is growing? Are the Tuesdays and Thursdays growing every week? Yes? Amazing. Then your business is growing. If not, then your business is dying. However, like I said, you can't build your business off of once a week. So those are the weekly meetings that are happening throughout the week within your city, within your state. And so outside of that, you want to make the commitment yourself to show that maybe you're brand new. If you're brand new, then someone's going to be presenting for you. That's fine. But once you hit P150, P600, the first few ranks, at that point, that's when you want to make the commitment to do what I'm telling you to do. So let's say that you pick Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you're going to do 2 meetings on Saturday. So that's 5 total. Now, this is an example of what my schedule was like in 2017. This was before I was in IM Academy. I was in a health and wellness company, and this was before I was utilizing Zoom. So guess what? First of all, I'm never going to tell you to do something that I'm not doing or haven't done myself. And for years, before I knew how to build on social media at all, before I knew that was even a possibility, let alone a reality, I was doing everything through home meetings, and that's it. And this was like after an event. And after an event, we had like planned out a bunch of home meetings for the upcoming week. These were just the meetings that I was doing myself. So you can see I did 3 home meetings on a Sunday, 3 on a Monday, 2 on a Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 0 on Thursday, 2 on Friday, and 2 on Saturday. You know what's crazy? Leanne was doing the same thing. So imagine this. I'm running around the city like a crazy person, doing 2 meetings every day. And what we used to do pretty much was 6 and 8. So I would do a home meeting at 6, and then I'd drive across the city like a crazy person and do another one at 8. And Leanne was doing the same thing, because what did I say earlier? Divide and conquer. That's 4 meetings with 5, 10, 20 guests just between us 2. And you can see why we were able to grow this very big, very fast. And so I'm not saying you have to do 3 meetings every single day, 3 home events every single day. What I am saying is do this. Make the decision that I'm going to show the plan a handful of times a week. If that's in person, amazing. Home events are more effective because it's in person. There's an energy transfer that happens in person that does not happen, on Zoom. If it's on Zoom, amazing. But that's what you're doing. You get a new person started, awesome. Let's launch your business. You're going to have your own private home meeting. And if someone launches a restaurant, are they going to do that launch at someone else's restaurant or their restaurant? They're going to do it at their restaurant. So guess what? You're going to do it at your house. That's where you're going to do your private home event. And then private opportunity call for people who are not local. But if you're just trying to build your business off of 1 meeting a week, I'm telling you, you're just going to be like a treadmill going nowhere fast. Business isn't magic, it's mathematics. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but let's just say hypothetically, that's 7 meetings throughout the week if you include the Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. If you have 7 meetings throughout the week, and let's say each meeting has 5 potential prospects that are checking out the information. Some meetings you might have 2 people, some meetings you might have 20 people, right? So I'm just using 5 as an average. And let's just say your average presenter is signing up 2 out of 10, aka 1 out of 5. 7 meetings throughout the entire week, 5 new prospects at each meeting, that's 7 signups. Over the course of a month, that's almost 30. That's P1000. You're popping 1 new P1000 every single month. Within 12 months, guess what? That's Chairman 10 in 1 year. Congratulations. If you're willing to do what I'm doing or what I'm proposing, there's no reason, mathematically, it's impossible to not hit a 6-figure level. I think it's so funny when people look at a level like Chairman and they're like, man, that's super hard. Not that many people achieve that. I'm like, every person who does the work achieves that. That's like saying, that's like looking at people with I don't know, who are really in really good shape and say, man, a very small percentage of people are able to do that. Anyone can do it if they actually put in the work. And that's the key, is putting in the work. Now, what did I say earlier? It's not just about what you can do, it's also about what you can duplicate, right? So you want to develop 1 to 2 new presenters monthly that can show the plan, that can do the basics, that can do what it is that you do. Let's just say I'm rounding down. Let's say in 2 years, that's 20 new presenters. Well, if you have 20 people doing that, that's 500 signups a month. Is that right? Yeah, that's 500 signups every single month. And that's how do you think you get to the level of Chairman 100, not even Chairman 100, that's 5,000 people, but even beyond that, where you're signing up hundreds of people every single month. You think that one person is doing that by themselves? Absolutely not. This is how they're doing it. They're leading by example. People aren't going to do what you say, people do what you do. And then they're developing and duplicating other leaders who can show the plan. And that's it. It's very, very simple. Not easy. Like, it's not easy at all, but it is very, very simple. Now let's take a look at your business. Let's say that you're a P600, or maybe you're a Platinum Zero, or maybe you're a P150, or maybe you're a P1000. Just this is a hypothetical example, but let's just say that this is your business for tonight, for example purposes. Say this is you, and you have 3 lines of business. You have Bob at the top of one leg, Jim, and then Tom. You have 3 legs. Everybody here should be building 3 legs. Why? Because you only need 3 teams to max out the compensation plan. So you should only have 3. If you have more than 3, then you got to get that fixed. Now, here's the problem. Working everywhere equals momentum nowhere. If you're trying to work with Bob's, everyone on Bob's team, there's 2 lines of business there. If you're trying to build all these teams here, if you're working with Joe, Jay, and Lee in this middle leg, that's 3 lines. And then 1 over here that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 different lines of business that you're trying to build. And the problem is working everywhere equals momentum nowhere. What you want to do is you want to drive depth. You want to work at the bottom of the organization. You want to work with the newest, most excited people on the business. Take a look at this middle leg right here. This middle leg right here, you have this guy, Lee. Lee is at the bottom of the business. So if I help Lee hit P150, guess what? That helps Kim, that helps Jim, that helps you, that helps everybody in between. So when you're working with the people towards the bottom of the structure, that helps everybody else level up as well. And so there's something called, what's the opposite of working everywhere? It's focusing on one specific area. And so the sun's everywhere, right? But when you take the rays of the sun with the magnifying glass and focus it on a specific area, you create a fire, you create momentum. And in this business, I call that the NPOM, the new possibility of momentum. So where do I focus? You want to focus on the new possibility of momentum. The new possibility of momentum, the NPOM, is determined after their first home event or Zoom call. I'll talk about that in a second. But a new possibility of momentum is somebody with contacts, somebody with credibility, somebody with coachability. Give me somebody with contacts. They can easily make a list of 50 names, 100 names. They know people. Give me someone with credibility. They have trust and influence with the people that they know. And then give me somebody who's coachable. When you tell them to run the play, they actually run the play. Contacts, credibility, coachability. Give me someone like that. I'll help them easily hit the first few ranks within the first 30 days every single time. P150, P600, oftentimes P1000. We've done that many times. And that's the type of person that I'm looking for. So, and by the way, the new possibility momentum is determined after their first home event, because everyone says that they have contacts. Everyone says that they have credibility. But how many times have you worked with somebody that said that they knew everybody, but nobody knew them, right? Or maybe they had the contacts and the credibility, but they weren't coachable. So they had everything that they needed to be super successful. But when you told them to run the play, they didn't actually run the play, right? So the new possibility of momentum is determined after you launch them. So after you launch them, let's use Lee as an example. Lee's towards the bottom of the structure, right? So I'm working with him. I launched Lee. We go through the why. We determine why he's doing what it is that he's doing. So he has a strong reason why. He has goals. He has specific levels that he's trying to achieve. He has long-term goals and short-term goals. Long-term goals, that keeps people super excited to put in the work now, but also short-term goals that gives people a target to aim for now to help people take action sooner than later, right? Why goals list. He's made an entire list of people that he wants to talk to. Obviously, the bigger the list, the better. I usually start with 20 or 30, but it depends on the person. If someone's like all in and they want to go chairman tomorrow, then they can make a list of 100. They can make a list of more than that. If someone's super scared, then maybe they'll start with 10, right? So it depends on the person. It's not a one size fits all, unfortunately. But yeah, and so from there, what I'll do is I launch Lee. Why goals list, most importantly, the invite, because if I could help Lee invite, if I'm there watching him invite and he's getting confirmations, that's the hardest part. If he can get the confirmations and get people to show up to the opportunity call or the in-person meeting, then I'm going to do my job. I'm going to sign up 2 or 3 out of 10 if you're an average presenter, right? So the hardest part and the most important part is helping somebody invite. That's the key. And then boom, let's say that he gets 10 people. Let's say he gets 5 people to his home event and 5 people to his op call, and then we sign up 3 out of 10, boom, Lee goes P150. That's how you know he is the new possibility of momentum, because he has actually gotten the results. He signed up a few people. Now, in your head, you should be like, all right, this is who I need to focus on for the next few weeks, for the next 30 days. Now I need to help this person go out there and hit P600. P600 is what I call the core rank in IM Mastery Academy. And a core rank is a specific rank that you use as a building block to hit bigger ranks, right? So I don't see P2000 as 75 people. I see P2000 as 6 to 8 P600s. I don't see Chairman 10 as 500 people. I see it as 6 to 8 P2000. So all comes back to helping people hit P600, or to you running the play to P600 yourself first, obviously, and then becoming a P600 factory. And so, yeah, I launched Lee. He seems to have contact, credibility, coachability. We launch him. He hits P150 based off of his launch. Boom. He is the new possibility momentum. I'm going to focus on him for the next few weeks, for the next 30 days. I help him, recruit obviously more than 3 people, right? And obviously help his team do the same thing. And I help him hit P600. And guess what? I look at those 12 people after he hits the first few ranks, and then I identify the next possibility of momentum, and I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again, and I develop layers of leaders. I'm always doing 2 things at once. I'm always creating momentum, and I'm duplicating leaders at the same time. What do I mean? Here's what I mean. When I'm working with Lee, let's say when Lee signs up, let's say I sign up Jim, who signs up Kim who the next day signs up Lee. I can't expect Kim to launch Lee because Kim signed up yesterday, right? So I'm the person myself who's working hands-on with the new possibility of momentum. When you have the NPOM, you want to be the person that focuses on that person. You don't want to delegate that to anybody else. Sometimes I see that mistake happening. Now, also, I'm doing when I launch Lee and I, go through the why, the goals, list, the invite, and I help Lee hit P150. I'm also making sure that Kim and Jim in this scenario are there with me, because people don't do what you say. People do what you do. People do what they experience. So when they see me help Lee smash ranks, what do you think that they're going to do? They're going to duplicate that with their other two legs. So I'm building a power leg, and then everybody else is building their other two legs. So really, people are basically building two legs while I'm building this one power leg, beneath them. 80% of your volume can come from two legs in this compensation plan, right? So I'm just building one power leg straight down, and I'm having everybody else in between watch me and learn how I'm doing it so they can duplicate that in their other two legs. So they're basically they're building two legs is really what they're doing. And so I'm creating momentum, and I'm developing and duplicating leaders, because people are learning through osmosis, right? People are learning through experience and seeing what it is that I'm doing. I could tell someone how to create momentum that's not going to do it. Like, this training in theory is great, but in reality, it'd be 10 times better if you just watched me work. Because if you just watched me work and you saw me do it and you experienced it, it'd be way better. Now, so I'm spending 80% of my time with Lee. And then let's just say the rest of the 20% of my time that I have extra time, I'm going to be working with Jen and Rob, who are towards the bottom of the other two legs. Why? Because like I said, you want to work in depth. You want to work with the newest, most excited people in your business. You don't want to work with the person that signed up 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, that already knows what to do but isn't doing it. You want to work with the newest, excited person within your group. So that is it. I appreciate you guys for listening in. Wow, time flew by. I genuinely thought that was like 30 minutes. That was like, it's almost 6:50. That was almost 45, almost 50 minutes. Do you guys have any questions at all? You can go ahead, drop it in the chat box if you have any questions at all. If not, that was it. But let me know if you guys have any questions, because I did talk about a lot very quick. So let me see. To be honest, I haven't really checked the chat box at all. I was just in the flow. Reading the chats. Okay. Where can we get the recording from this? I'll drop it somewhere. I'll drop it in all the chats. And we have this chat we have all the P5s and above in one chat. I'll drop it in there, and then they could forward it out to everywhere else. How do you develop new relationships with people fast? That's a good question. Vaughn, are you talking about like prospects or people on your team, or like okay, newer people, like on your team, or like prospects? Like, what do you mean? Just want to clarify what you're saying. Real quick, do you know exact GV for new packages? The exact GV for new packages. Yeah, 75 GV for TLX, SMX, and ECX. It's 150 for the trading packs, and then it's 190 for the empowered pack, which is any two packs. Let's see. Newer signups. I think it just comes down to communication. I think that when you sign up somebody new, this is a great question, by the way. When you have someone that's new, they are like your brand new baby. And while that baby needs to learn how to crawl before they can walk, before they can run on their own. And so in the beginning, the first 30 days is super crucial. Oftentimes you see people quit in that first 30 days or have a lot of success. Or just the way that you get someone set up has a large part to how far and how fast that they go. We'll just put it that way. And so I think that the first thing is just being in communication daily with the newer people and just asking how they're doing and just checking in and seeing how they're doing. I think another thing is when you're launching somebody and you're going through the why, goals, list, invite, rather than just asking somebody, hey, what's your why? What I like to do is I'll say, hey, the why is everything, right? And I explain the importance of like the why. And obviously we all know how important the why is on this call, so I'm not going to do that, but I explain why it's important to a new person because a new person doesn't know. And then from there, I open up first, right? I say, yo, here's why I'm doing it. And I share my reason why. And it's super emotional. And people get very attached to that. They could feel the, emotion coming from you. And I feel like that, builds a really good connection, because how can I expect someone to open up if I haven't really opened up to them, right? So I think that's something that I do. Like when I am launching them, I really get to know them. Like I really open up and share with them my whys, my goals, like the challenges that I had, the shit that I had to go through, excuse my language. And just by doing that, I become a human, I become a real person. And I feel like people really, really respect that. Other than that, I think it's just constant communication when they're brand new, just talking to them daily, checking in, making sure that they're doing good. And I like to give homework to people. Yes, I give assignments to people. So I'll say, hey, go through the 100, 200 series, and then we'll connect on another call. Perfect. You're going to hop on these first few live sessions, and we're going to connect on another call. People think in homework, people think in assignments, because that's how we're taught through school. And so that's kind of how you want to deal with people when they're new here. This is my biggest clicking moment right now because I have hella untapped potential on my squad. Let's get it then. That's good. That's good. Facts. Care about the person, not about the number. That's true. People can genuinely tell when you're treating them like a number. If the last time you hit them up was, if you're hitting them up to reactivate their package and you check your messages and the last time you talked to them was when they were inactive, like people could tell, right? But when you genuinely, excuse my language again, but when you genuinely, give a shit about somebody, when you really, really care, people can feel that energy. And I think that's super, super crucial. But all right, I think that was all the questions. So yeah, guys, I'm going to get this recording out to all the P5s and above. So whoever your P5 is and above is, let them know. If you can't find the recording, hit me up on Instagram and I will send it to you. I also apologize about the craziness in the background because I'm not home today, obviously at my spot. But yeah, so guys, love you guys. Have an amazing night. Appreciate you guys for all staying locked in this entire time. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take action on this. Figure out like, how can I, cool, you got a lot of information, but how can I use this and apply it tonight? Apply it tomorrow, apply it immediately. Talk to you guys. Bye guys.